Rob, what is our third main topic today?
Well, John, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me this topic to read. And it comes from Quinn Fowlie. Hey, John and Rob, I hope this finds you well. I was wondering if you saw a report about the DC animated sitcom Harley Quinn. The report discussed how DC's higher-ups told Harley Quinn's writers to cut a sex scene between Batman and Catwoman from a season 3 episode because, quote, it's hard to sell a toy if Batman is also going down on someone. I think DC should have let Harley Quinn's writers bring on the filthy, but what are your thoughts? Well, Quinn, you and I clearly park our shuttlecraft in the same shuttle bay because I would say amen, sir. To me, if Batman's going down on Catwoman, that just makes him all the more admirable. Here's somebody who can bring the filthy. I mean, they were going to get married at one point. I mean, I think everyone knows consenting adults like Batman and Catwoman are living life on the edge. They also probably enjoy their sensual pleasures. And to know that one of my all-time favorite superheroes is a cunning linguist just makes me like him all the more. So this IndieWire says, quote, it's incredibly gratifying and free to be using characters that are considered villains because you just have so much leeway, Halpern said.
By the way, Halpern is one of the show creators of Harley Quinn.
Yes, one of the show creators. A perfect example of that in the third season of Harley when we had a moment where Batman was going down on Catwoman and DC was like, you can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that. They're like, heroes don't do that. So we said, are you saying heroes are all just selfish lovers? They were like, no, it's that we sell consumer toys for heroes. It's hard to sell a toy if Batman is also going down on someone. This comes to us from IndieWire, and I would say just the opposite. Au contraire, DC executives. I don't understand where you get that. The only thing I would worry about if Batman's cowl is still on, maybe his ears might get in the way of doing a good job. But other than that, I would say that I, for one, am here. What do you think, John? Can Batman bring the filthy? Should he bring the filthy? And in the show, the kind of show Harley Quinn is, I don't really think it's out of the box. I shouldn't have said that.
Oh boy. How do I follow that up? All right. Look, on the one hand, I should point something out. A little bit later in that same interview, the showrunner and show creator also did say, just so there's no confusion, that DC has been like the most supportive and backing them up and giving them tons of leeway. He just praises DC so much for working with them and all the stuff they've been allowed to do that he said, frankly, many, if not no other studio would allow us to do. Maybe Amazon would if you've watched The Boys. But other than that, he said, DC has let us do just about anything we want to do. All right. Let me address this seriously for a second.
Okay.
The DC guys raise a valid point. Now, look, we as fans, we're very myopic. We are. As fans, all we care about is what I want. That's all we do. That's me. That's us as consumers. That's us as audiences. We are very, very short-sighted and we're very myopic. We see one very narrow field of view, which is what I want. I'm like that. Audiences are like that. However, when you're somebody like a Kevin Feige or you're somebody like a DC, you do have to look beyond that. And you have to look a little bit bigger picture. And if you're a DC and you get, look, our most valuable IP is Batman. And while we're okay with him being in Harley Quinn and maybe doing and saying some ridiculous things, we do want to be a little bit more cautious with him. You can have the Joker do whatever you want. You can have Clayface do whatever you want. You can have Harley or Ivy do whatever you want. But we do got to protect at least a little bit our Batman character. Again, I'm not saying, Rob, that's what I would have done. I'm not saying if I was in the DC head offices, I would have done that. But I think if we as audience members can step out of our little myopic me, what I want to see thing and look at a bigger picture, you can at least appreciate where the DC guys are coming from. I think I get it. So having said that, Rob, I get it. I get why they did that. I don't blame them for doing that. They do let Harley Quinn get away with a hell of a lot of stuff, and it's fantastic. I love the Catwoman character, by the way, on Harley Quinn. I love all the characters, but the Catwoman character is really, really cool on it. At any rate, having said and laid the groundwork saying, I understand where DC's coming from. I don't blame them for making that decision. All hail DC for giving the Harley Quinn writers so much freedom to do anything they want to do, really. I will say this. If you're concerned about the Batman image, why let him be on the Harley Quinn show in the first place? I mean, that's all I'm saying. Like, I get it. You do want to protect the Batman IP, but that's kind of gone. The moment you put him in as a regular character, I mean, he's not as regular as, as Clayface or Harley or Ivy or anything like that, but he's in the show fairly regularly. And if you're going to have him in this show, then you've got to understand that just by being in the show, the audience already understands this is not the real Batman. The audience understands this isn't the real Batman. This isn't the real Superman. Listen to us nerds. The real Batman, as if there's a real Batman out there. But you know what I'm saying? This is not truly Batman, just like the Superman and Harley Quinn is not truly Superman. I think the audiences who watch it get it. And Rob, I would also say that the 5-year-old kids who are buying Batman toys are not watching Harley Quinn. At least, if they have responsible parents, their parents are not allowing them to watch Harley Quinn anyway. So look, I'm saying I get it. I understand why they made that decision, and I don't blame them. However, I would have made a different choice because you've already got him on Harley Quinn anyway. You have him doing some pretty ludicrous things there anyway. The audience of Harley Quinn understands this isn't the true version of Batman or Superman or Aquaman or others who appear in the show. And, all the girlfriends I've had, they will tell you real heroes do go down. Real heroes go down. So, I mean, it depends on who you're asking, I suppose. But Rob, take a step back for a second. Let's say you are in the DC head offices and you're responsible not just for this one cartoon show. You're responsible for protecting the IP, fostering the IP. You're looking bigger picture. Do you have a conversation with the show creators about this? And which way would you tell them to go?
Down.
I set you up for that way too easy. I set you up way too easy for that.
By the way, we haven't planned this. Again, this might be my favorite conversation we've had in almost 3 years we've done this show together, John. No, but look, I think obviously, there is a question with the Batman character, with any comic book character. If you're going to inject sexuality, you're moving the needle into another realm, and where does it end? I mean, it's not like Harley Quinn and Batman are going to celebrate International Women's Day the way Deadpool does, but I think that it's important to understand where the line is drawn. And obviously, Harley Quinn's a very irreverent show. They get away with a lot. But I think that bringing overt sexuality like this into the show might be a misstep, only because while I think it's pretty funny, it does open a can of worms that if you're going to return to that, the fact is Batman is beloved the world over. And maybe this, as much as I love bringing the filthy, I don't necessarily, it's so weird for me to say this, not appropriate. Maybe. I mean, I think that's what they're worried about, because it does. If there was other instances of this, like on The Boys or something, but it seems a little out of left field that they're incorporating such overt sexuality, sexual activity in this show. So I can totally understand where they're coming from. I can get it. That once you go there, the floodgates are open, and where does it end? So I get that. And I think that's okay for them to say, okay, our show is we're gonna push the envelope up to a point, but we're just not gonna go here.
Right.
And I can see them doing it.
But it's
on
not
the other
completely
hand,
consistent either, because remember in that, what was a Killing Joke? They showed Batman banging Batgirl on a rooftop, like his friend's daughter. So where do you draw the line?
You're right. I mean, it's not like it's unprecedented. And of course, in the comics, they were going to get married. So, but look, for me, if I personally was making the show, to me, anything goes. And I'm like, who wouldn't want to see, as long as it's well done. But I do understand. I know it seems so odd. I mean, Americans, we've always had a problem with sex. We can kill as many people as we want on screen, but have somebody touch a boob and everyone freaks out. And I've always thought that was odd. So I can see, I guess, both sides of it. I think the scene would have been probably great for the show, but I can understand their concerns.
Yeah, and it's easier to digest it when you hear him also go on saying, "Listen, it's not like DC is hard on us. It's not like DC doesn't let us do anything. They give us tremendous amounts of freedom to do a lot. This was just the one time they made us not." It does remind me a lot of The Boys situation, where the showrunner of The Boys is saying, "Yeah, they let us do anything except one thing." The one thing they didn't let us do in season 1, he said, was we had a scene where we had Homelander at the top of a building drop his pants and start to masturbate over the city and shoot out all over the city, to which Chris Carr coined the fabulous phrase, soup goop. It's like, yes, covered the city in soup goop. And he said, that's the one thing they didn't let us do. But then they slipped it into the end of season 2, which was kind of funny. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Serious question. Not as a fan, but if you're an executive at DC, do you put some restraints on what they can do with really valuable IPs like Batman on the show? Or do you just kind of go, hey, listen, the show is already completely bonkers. If we're putting the character in it, you might as well let them go bonkers. I honestly think it's a tough situation. What do you guys think? Jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.